Kenya deeply values the long-standing strategic partnership with the United Nations. In July, His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and myself visited the United Nations office at Nairobi, Union, as well as the Union's Green Building, which is a flagship example of sustainable infrastructure in Africa and a point of pride in Nairobi's positioning as a UN city. These visits reaffirmed Kenya's unwavering commitment to facilitating the operational needs of the United Nations. The government is ready to undertake the necessary investments aimed at providing robust infrastructure, a safe and welcoming environment for UN staff and their families, and a vibrant, diverse diplomatic community. Additionally, Kenya continues to advance Nairobi as a hub for multilateral diplomacy. We welcome the Gigiri Master Plan, a major upgrade of the Union Conference facilities built in 1985. The modernization was approved through the UN General Assembly Resolution 78/253. The Gigiri Master Plan is envisaged to expand Union's capacity to accommodate up to 9,000 in-person delegates at peak capacity. This reflects the United Nations' strong commitment to supporting Union, the only UN headquarters in the Global South. Kenya looks forward to the planned relocation of operations of 3 UN agencies from New York to Nairobi, namely UNICEF, UN Women, UNFPA, and assures of the government's sustained support for the Gigiri Master Plan. On this, we were conducted on the tour by Her Excellency Madam Bangura, and I can only say she deserves a clap for being very supportive on this cause. Further, to ensure the smooth working of international organizations in Kenya, we have embarked on the review of the Privileges and Immunities Act. This review is aimed at streamlining the process of hosting international and intergovernmental organizations in Kenya, incorporating measures for supporting and monitoring of their activities, as well as standardization of privileges and immunities for personnel of these international organizations and persons attending international conferences. This review process is set to undergo public participation, and we shall be coming to you, the Diplomatic Corps, for comments and contributions towards enriching the draft bill before enactment by the National Assembly. We really look forward to your comments on this. We would like to have the best practices incorporated and domesticated in our laws. So make sure your pens or your laptops are functional so that we can get your input to this particular proposed amendments. Permit me to convey Kenya's heartfelt condolences to the government and the people of the Republic of South Africa on the passing on of His Excellency Ambassador Muniwa Johannes Mahalangu, South Africa's High Commissioner to the Republic of Kenya, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Federal Republic of Somalia, and Permanent Representative to the United Nations Office at Nairobi, Union. And also His Excellency Ambassador Serge Momboli, Ambassador of the Republic of Congo to the United States, and Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps. The departed were distinguished diplomats. I kindly request that we be upstanding and observe a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you. Be seated. And an increased commitment to multilateralism and collective action in addressing cross-cutting challenges, including persistent threats to peace and security, the triple planetary crisis, and humanitarian crisis, among others. Kenya remains firmly committed to international law, established norms, and the rules-based multilateral order. While this system is not without its shortcomings, it endures as a vital framework for global cooperation. Kenya will therefore continue to consistently and resolutely champion for the multilateral reform agenda. Your Excellencies, the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly is fast approaching. This year's theme, Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights, is both timely and significant as it affirms the enduring relevance of the United Nations in advancing the collective aspirations of peace, security, stability, and humanity. At a time of increased global complexities, this theme serves as a reminder that our strength lies in our unity, cooperation, and shared responsibility. This theme resonates with Kenya's priorities of promoting peace and conflict resolutions, advancing climate action and resilience, as well as fostering equitable and inclusive development. Kenya aligns itself with this vision and underscores the importance of revitalizing multilateralism as the foundation for building a more peaceful, just, and inclusive international order. In furtherance of the multilateral reform agenda, Kenya's participation at the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development in Seville, led by President William Ruto, underscored the need for urgent reforms in the international financial architecture, domestic resource mobilization, practical tax cooperation, and long-term affordable capital, while reaffirming commitment to multilateral consensus-driven solutions that respect national ownership. In July 2025, Nairobi had the honor of hosting the 20th Ordinary Session of the African Ministerial Conference on Environment, reaffirming our country's role as a convener and champion of Africa's common environmental agenda. This provided a platform to coordinate environmental policies, enhance implementation of regional and global environmental frameworks, and strengthen collaboration to address the continent's pressing environmental challenges, including climate change, biodiversity loss, desertification, and pollution. Building on these outcomes, Addis Ababa hosted the second Africa Climate Summit a few days ago, aimed at advancing Africa's unified voice on climate action and sustainable development, ahead of the upcoming 30th session of the Conference of Parties, COP30, to be held in Belém, Brazil. Therefore, we call upon the international community to sustain its support and commitment to multilateral environmental agreements and other related initiatives that seek to address climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has submitted various candidatures to key international bodies, namely the candidature of Professor Phoebe Okoa for the position of Judge of the International Court of Justice, both the casual vacancy for the 2025-2027 period and the regular election for the 2027-2036 period. We have also the candidature of Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim Amin for the International Criminal Police Organization, Interpol, Executive Committee, Delegate for Africa for the 2025-2028 term. Kenya has presented its candidature for re-election to the International Maritime Organization Council under Category C for the term 2026-2027, my colleague, the Honorable Hassan Joho, Cabinet Secretary for Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs, will officially unveil the candidature on 12th September 2025, to which you are warmly invited. We appeal for your valued support as Kenya continues to champion the strengthening of multilateralism. We extend our sincere appreciation to those whose tour of duty has come to a close, for their invaluable contributions in deepening the bonds between Kenya and their respective countries. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. This briefing is part of our regularly quarterly engagements designed to strengthen dialogue, deepen collaboration, and foster mutual understanding as we collectively advance our shared interests for the benefit of our peoples and the broader global community. At this juncture, I sincerely thank and commend you, Your Excellencies, for your steadfast support and cooperation with the Ministry and other government agencies in full respect of the principles and procedures of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. I encourage you to continue upholding this spirit, which provides a solid foundation for effective coordination and enduring partnership. Since July 2025, Kenya commenced the new fiscal year 2025-2026, which presents new opportunities to consolidate our international relations through high-level visits, expanded diplomatic engagements, and the implementation of mutually beneficial cooperation frameworks. In tandem with our democratic credentials and adherence to the rule of law, His Excellency the President witnessed the swearing-in of the Commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. The IEBC is expected to conduct free, fair, and transparent elections in adherence to the Constitution and the Elections Act of 2011. I wish to assure you that the Government of Kenya remains firmly committed to safeguarding this democratic process. Kenya's progressive constitution guarantees freedom of speech, respect for human rights, and the rule of law. The government takes seriously concerns raised regarding recent reports of abductions. As a member of the Human Rights Council and the host of the sub-regional UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in Nairobi, Kenya remains steadfast to addressing these matters transparently and accountably. It is for this reason that on the 16th of August 2025, His Excellency the President appointed a 16-member panel of experts comprising of legal scholars and human rights advocates to oversee compensation for protest victims dating back to 2017. This is a testament to the President's steadfast commitment to justice, national healing, and the rule of law. I also want to state that formally the IEBC has communicated to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They would like us to syndicate an engagement between the IEBC and the diplomatic community so that they can have a separate engagement with yourselves. They are independent, but they want us to formally communicate with you so that they can give you a scope on how they intend to proceed in executing their mandate. So at some stage, there'll be communication from the Principal Secretary so that this engagement can be meaningful, constructive, and be able to allow you to understand the journey through our electoral processes. Since the deployment of the Kenya-led multinational security support mission in Haiti, notable gains have been achieved despite the challenges faced, including the loss of lives of our security personnel. More recently, we lost an officer by the name Mutuku. They were involved in an accident in Haiti. The United Nations Security Council is expected to consider the United Nations Secretary General's February 2025 recommendations, which propose, among others, enhanced logistical and operational support to the mission through the creation of a UN support office in Haiti and the transition of the MSS mission to a gang suppression force. A decision is expected during the renewal of the mission's mandate, which is set to expire on 2nd October 2025. That is just about 2.5 weeks from today. The MSSM mission presents a critical and time-bound opportunity to reverse Haiti's worsening security situation and lay the foundation for a return to democratic governance. The sustained commitment and solidarity of international partners is essential to enable the mission fulfill its mandate. Kenya remains fully committed to the mission's success and continues to appeal for adequate and predictable financial resources, equipment, and logistical support from the international community. If I may just pause a little, this is 1 year since. Exactly in September last year, President Ruto actually flew to Haiti on his way to the UN General Assembly meetings. So 1 year today, the timelines were well defined in this framework. There've been challenges. Commitments have been honored in certain circumstances, and others have not been honored. But one thing is clear: a ray of hope has appeared for the people of Haiti. Schools have reopened in some circumstances. Critical infrastructure are operational. The port, the airport, some of the medical institutions are functioning. I also had a chance to go to the Dominican Republic, which has been very supportive in providing medevac facilities for the Kenyan police there. So there's a general feeling that there's indeed hope if we can all pull together and extend a hand of help in this area. So I really wish to appeal to you that strong support for clear clarity and support for the resolutions that are necessary become critical so that we can be able to move to the next level. For Kenya, one of the things that we can proudly talk of is that as we executed this mandate, 11,000 kilometers away, there has been no record of a human rights violation by the police contingent that is assigned to Haiti. Not a single complaint of Kenya's police brutality or human rights violation. So I thought I should emphasize this, because sometimes if you don't blow your own trumpet, nobody will blow it for you. So it is a good record displayed by Kenya's police service as they execute this international assignment. Policy of the Republic of Kenya was approved and gazetted in May 2025, laying the foundation for the effective implementation of Kenya's foreign policy objectives in an increasingly complex international landscape. The revamped policy seeks to elevate and position Kenya as a core state in the region, a stable economy, and a premier investment destination, an exporter of peace regionally and globally, and a reliable partner in addressing global challenges. On state visits and official visits, Kenya continues to strengthen its established diplomatic relations with a broad range of engagements that have yielded notable outcomes. These include state and official visits to the United Kingdom, Spain, China, and Japan, and an inbound official visit by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, from 30th to 31st July 2025. That served to strengthen bilateral relations between Kenya and Uganda. The Joint Commission for Cooperation with Iran was held, medium-term review of JCCs with Uganda, and political consultations with Ukraine, Spain, Sweden, Norway, and Azerbaijan were conducted. Additionally, Kenya participated in the recently concluded Africa-Singapore Ministerial Exchange held in Singapore, and the second Africa Climate Summit held in Addis Ababa. We also participated in the TICAD conference. Kenya remains committed to forging strategic partnerships with various nations towards achieving inclusive growth, sustainable development, and shared prosperity. On the economy, Kenya has and continues to pursue economic cooperation with various countries as part of the government's National Development Agenda under Vision 2030 and the bottom-up Economic Transformative Agenda, BETTER. Economic and commercial diplomacy remains a key priority of Kenya's foreign policy agenda aimed at enhancing economic cooperation, promoting trade and investment. And Kenya remains committed to strengthening regional and global economic cooperation anchored on frameworks and partnerships geared towards achieving sustainable development and inclusive growth. At this juncture, let me point out that the government of Kenya, through the National Treasury, will be engaging with the IMF so that we can work towards a new program. That is usually very critical in giving a very clear signal on the direction that the country intends to take on matters of the economy. Equally, we continue to engage with our development partners and other relevant bodies so that we can eliminate Kenya's sitting on the grey listing of the FATF. So this is something that we are working on.